Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome to day 3 of the Simple Trade Profit System free trading course. And if you have been with us and have completely watched from beginning to end, both day 1 and day 2, then go ahead and pat yourself on the back because you are rare. It's important to watch them all in order because they are going to build upon each other, and you're really going to see that in this video. So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end, because after we talk about our topic today, I am going to go to the current Bitcoin chart and show you my current analysis and what the things that I've been posting in the VIP group, what that means and how I get to that analysis, how I see that. So make sure you watch the video and then stay till the end for that current analysis. So today's video is going to be about trend lines. Trend lines, support and resistance are the top two most important things to learn, to understand, and to know how to draw correctly in trading, because these are the two main things that I use. I use other tools too. You know, if you're a little familiar with trading, then you might know about Fibonacci or some moving averages. But support and resistance is my two main tools that I use. So the first thing, again, it's going to be similar to support and resistance. First thing is how not to draw support and resistance, or trend lines. So I see people's, I'll be on Twitter or something and I'll see people's charts that look like this. And it's just, I can't even, it's just analysis paralysis. It's like, what the hell is going on here? So, as we move out of a certain trend, I tend to go back and delete the lines I had previously, because I don't want my chart cluttered. I want to be able to get a clear picture. I want to have the right things drawn, but I don't want it to be so cluttered that I can't figure out what to do. So look at this picture. If your chart looks like this, delete it and watch this video and learn how to draw them correctly. So why we draw trend lines. First thing is they give you a context. They give you the context of the market, whether it be in an uptrend or a downtrend. They give you an idea of which direction the market is going. They help you identify long-term trends. If you're more of a long-term trader and you trade on the daily chart and you're drawing trend lines, you're going to get a picture, an image of a long-term trend. But they're even used on small time frames, like the 5-minute. You can draw trend lines on it. And when we go to the chart, I'm going to show you some things. They help you better time your entries and exits as well. Because in this video, I'm going to teach you how to draw trend lines, and then I'm going to teach you the 3 ways that you can use to trade with these trend lines as well. And I'm going to show you how we're going to incorporate this with support and resistance, and the first video about the wick of the candle relative to the body. So it's important to watch those first 2 videos because they're going to fit in with this. And I'm going to show you how I use the body of the candle and the wicks and what they look like, trend lines and support and resistance for my trades. So how to draw trend lines. And if you've watched day 2, this is going to sound familiar. The first thing to do is define your time frame, meaning choose what time frame you're going to trade on. So if you're a short-term trader and you want to trade on the 5-minute chart or the 15-minute chart, then you're going to draw the trend lines on that chart. Because, for example, let's say you go to the daily chart and the market's overall on the daily, the trend is overall up. But if you zoom into the 5-minute chart and you draw trend lines, it might look like the trend is going down. So you need to define your your time frame and stick to that time frame, because they'll work on whichever one you want to use. The second thing is to, again, zoom out. I want to get, multiple bars on the screen, multiple candles on the screen, so I can get an idea of the context of whatever time frame I'm on. So I'm going to zoom out again, and we're going to draw lines that connect at least two major swing points, because you need at least two touches on a trend for it to even be a trend. You can't draw a trend line if there's only one touch. Where's the other? Which direction does the line even go? And I'm going to show you when we get to the chart. So you need two major swing points. If you're sitting there trying to look, is this a touch? Is this? Then move on and look for the major ones. And then the last step is to adjust for the most touches. So it's similar to support and resistance. I'm going to show you a technique, though, that I use that I'm sure even if you know how to trade, you might not have used this technique when you're drawing your trend lines. And it'll probably help you out. So I'm going to go over to the chart now, and we're going to practice drawing them before I get into the trading strategy portion of trend lines. So here we are on the BTC USD chart. I'm on the 4-hour. If you have something on your chart already, just delete it off, reset your chart. And now the first step is I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to stay on the 4-hour. I'm going to get my trend lines drawn, and then we might switch to another time frame, and I'll show you some. Well, I definitely will when we get to the trading portion of it. So we're going to zoom out now. I want to get a big picture of this. This is like this is about as far as I want to go. I want to see, I know there was the major swing up here, but look, I'm looking for the most current price action. And we are going to start drawing our trend lines now. So the button's up here. I'm going to choose trend line, and I'm going to start from right here. I'm looking for, like I said, major swings. Remember, so there's multiple swings on here, but I'm looking for the major ones. So, this is a swing, this is a swing, this is a swing, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. We're not going to go through every tiny little tiny swing on here. We're looking for the major ones, okay? So watch how I do this. So we're going to start up here. And I've drawn this trend line multiple times before I start this video, so that's why I'm starting in this area. Because remember, we don't necessarily need to be at the highest peak. We want to get the most touches, and I know I'm going to get the most touches by starting a little bit farther down. So I'm going to click, start to drag, and I'm going to set it right here, and then I'm going to adjust it a little bit, okay? So let's get it just right. I'm going to draw it right there. So I got this touch, this touch, this touch. I'm going to show you something and why, I'm leaving it here through this mess. But I got a touch here, a touch here, a touch here, and then we got the opposite side it was touched. Now here's what I do, because just like support and resistance, you gotta not think of trend lines as an exact line, and think of them as areas, zones, ranges, area of value. So we know all along this trend line is an area of value, an area to pay attention to. So what I'm going to do now that I'm clicked on this trend line, I'm going to copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and I'm going to move this trend line down here because I didn't get this touch right here. I didn't get some of these touches, so I'm going to move this second trend line I have drawn, and I'm going to move it right here. And now look, now I have this touch, I got this touch, I got this touch right here, I got this touch, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and I almost got this one down here. So now we know when I get into how to trade these, we know that this is our area of value. I could even take another one and draw it up here, but we only have, one touch, maybe a second one there. So we had a little fake breakout of it. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit and show you guys what I mean by area of value. So when we're looking to trade these trend lines, you can trade them a couple of different ways, but like I said, don't think of them as an exact line. Think of them as an area. So we know this area in between these two lines is an area that we can look to possibly trade on. So when we're on this 4-hour time frame, what is the trend? We can see the trend overall is a downtrend. So we're going to be looking to short. You know, back if you were back here in this area, obviously now we've broken out of it. And then when I get to my current Bitcoin analysis, we'll get some trend lines and stuff drawn over there. But looking in this area, we're going to be looking to short. So if we zoom in again, we're going to be looking to short. We would have drawn it after this point because remember, you need two major swings. So we had one here, we had one here. At this point, we would have drawn our line, right? We probably would have drawn it out to right here at this point. And then as price continued to go, we would have, continued extending it. But look at how prices reacted to both of these lines. So it was rejected strongly right here with that big wick candle, came down. It came up to the second one, came all the way down, rejected strongly right here again with this big wick. And then eventually came back up, touched again, and came down. We can see it kind of broke out. It was rejected here, came up here, rejected here strongly all the way down. Here was our little fake breakout, but you can see how this is an area of value. So look at how I've drawn these two lines and look at how we literally kind of traded inside of these two lines for quite a while. This second one acted as support almost. It did, it broke through, it traded inside, it acted as support right here and moved up, broke back down to the second one, acted as support. And at this point, 11, 9, 19, down there at the bottom, we could have these lines drawn. Why? Because we'd have the top one drawn, because that's where the tops came. But I would have already drawn the second one because look, we had a touch here, we had touches here, 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 all along here. I would have had this second line drawn already. So at this point, my lines would be in this position and we would be watching in real time price bouncing around in these. Finally was rejected and came down. And we continued, we came back up, bounced around in it again. So let's look at a couple more examples. I want to do the same concept. Here we are zoomed out. Let's remove these ones. And I'm going to look in this area right here. So I want to show you how I want to create this area of value again. So the first line I'm going to draw from right here. Actually, that's not where I'm going to draw it at. I'm going to draw from right here to right here. Then I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. Let's zoom in here. And I'm going to move it to right here. So this first line got this touch here, got this touch here. We got a touch here, a few more right there, and then it finally broke down and then came back up and touched it again. But we have another area, several other touches that never touched this one. Now let's delete this one again. Look, this whole area, this area, this area, some up here, that it was obviously reacting to something. But if you only have one trend line drawn, well, you would never know, you would never feel comfortable placing a trade. But once you copy it and paste it, and draw, and you create this zone, this range, this area, then the picture becomes more clear, because now we have our touch here, we got a come up and a touch right there, we got our touch here, we have one right here, We got another rejection right there, and we got some support. It acts as support. So can you guys see how when you look at these trend lines, don't look at them as exact lines, look at them as a zone, as a range that will act as either support and act as resistance. So there's several more examples. You know, even if I paste it again, we can get one up here at the top too as well. So I can have, look, I didn't even move the line. I didn't even change the angle of it. I just pasted it. And it's right there in the same spot again. Let's do another one. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, so now we can see that we have an area to pay attention to up here at the top. It came through and tested this first line. And at this point right here, at the second major swing, we would have the second line drawn. The first one, we would have probably got drawn. That one would have been a little bit later. We would have started to get it drawn around in this area. But look at how it reacted here, here, here to the first line. The second line was respected the first two times, and then it all focused pretty much in on the second line. We can actually move this probably down just a little bit, right in there. Yeah. So that's the big key takeaway from this is don't treat them as exact lines, exact angles. Treat them as ranges or areas that you can then incorporate into your trading. So I'm going to leave these up because I'm going to show you guys how we can use these lines right here and incorporate it with our support and resistance and our candlesticks, our long wicks and stuff to start trading. So trading trend lines. Like I said, there's going to be three ways that mainly two ways. The third way is going to be just adding one other piece into it. The first way is you can trade the trend line bounce. That is, as we kind of seen there, if you have a trend going up, price comes up, comes back down, you put your buy in here and you're trading the bounce off the trend line. That's one way you can trade them. The other way you can trade them is a trend line break. And I'm going to show you this on the chart in a minute. But basically what that means is, let me get my pen out here. If we have a trend going down, prices doing this, once it breaks it, you can put your buy in here, or the opposite way if it's trending up and it's bouncing off. Once it breaks it, you could put a sell in here. You could put a buy in here. So you're trading the break of the trend as opposed to trading the bounce, which would be here of the trend. And then the third strategy is confluence of trend line, support and resistance, and long wick candles. This is basically finding areas where, let's say you have a trend. Let me pull the pen out. Let's say you have a trend going up, and you're looking to buy right here. Well, you may also have a support line right there as well, and you may also have a candle that looks like this as well. This is called basically like three little signals you have. You have the trend line bounce, you have support in this area, and you got strong rejection from buyers coming in and pushing price up, like I talked about in that first video, and making your candle have a long wick on it. So confluence of these three things is another strategy, another technique you can use in your trading. So let's go back over to the chart again, and let's look at what I have drawn already. Let's zoom in here. Let me see if I can find an example. So trend line bounce, pretty self-explanatory, bouncing off the trend line. but to increase the probability of your trade going with you or going into profit, we want to add in a couple other. We want to look for a confluence of support and resistance, certain types of candles that will increase the likelihood that our trade is going to work. So let me find a couple examples here. So let's look. I'm going to focus in right here. Okay. So remember how to draw support and resistance. I'm going to plot a horizontal line for resistance. We can see that this area right here, let's go down a little bit, was resistance at one point. We can see it was rejected here. We had a breakout here, was rejected here, got close to it here. Here it flipped and acted as support. So we would have, once all this has already happened, I would have this line plotted on my chart already. And now we got this trend line forming, and look at the three things here. So we're coming up to the top of this trend. One, we have our horizontal resistance line. So we got resistance from the trend line, we got resistance from the horizontal line, and we have this candle that has a long wick on it. Oh, that's bad. Let's try that again. Look at this candle here with this long wick. So that is three things telling me that selling here might be a good little trade. And we can see that it went from 83.91 all the way down to 7,700. And that is really before we started the uptrend, because at that point we were still in a downtrend all the way from up here. So I would have been looking for a sell. It wasn't until we got to about right here that we could see that it was starting to reverse. So let's look at another example of that, and then that's the trend line bounce with confluence, but we'll look at the trend line break as well. So I'm going to put these trend lines back on. Is that right? Yeah, that looks right. So remember, these trend lines wouldn't have been formed until at this point. So we're going to look over here. We're in a downtrend, so we're looking for areas to sell. Look at this long wick. I'm sure we probably have resistance right here as well. We can see all the areas that price either bounced off of or was resisted at. All along right here for all these touches we got. And some of these are not going to be trades, especially if you're looking at like a 5-minute time frame, you're going to be in and out quickly. So there's strong rejection here, and then we have price move from 9,500 all the way down to 8,900, a $600 swing. We had another strong rejection right here, and it went from 9,600 to eventually our low at 8,900 again. Let's see if we can find some other examples. Here's another example. So we know this is an area of resistance here. So let's draw our horizontal line here. It was resisted, was actually supported here a little bit, broke through it, and then look at this long candle, this long wick candle here with strong rejection right here in this area at 8,600. And this would have been a really good trade all the way down to 6,500. So it moved $2,000. So you can see how we're combining all of the things we've learned so far. We're combining support and resistance. We're combining our trend lines, and we're combining looking for candlestick patterns that show us either having strong support or strong rejection. Let's see if I can find one more example. We could even look down here. If I copy this, drew another one to get our touches again. Let's see. So it's this bottom one, touch. We have some touches here, touches all along here. So now we have our third line drawn. Well, look at this long candle. We know that this area down here is support. Let's move out to the daily and look. So we'll draw a horizontal line here. We'll draw one right here in this area. And now let's zoom into here. Let's go back to the 4 hour and zoom into here. So now we have support, we have our trend line, and we have a candle with a massive wick on it. 3 indications that a bounce off this trend, a bounce off this support could likely happen. And it went from, all the way down in the 4,500 range, or you could even say the low at 3,800, and we're still moving up from that. So the other way to trade these is to trade a trend breakout. So let's look right here. Let's draw the trend lines we had from here to there. Let's draw another one right here. And now the opposite is true with this. What you're looking for on this is you're looking for it to break out of the trend and continue to the opposite side. So for example, here we broke out of not one, but 2, broke out of both these trend lines, came back up, tested it. This red candle right here with the long wick indicating that sellers are coming in and pushing price down. So we have a trend, we broke out of the trend and continue to the downside. Perfect example, the same one that I just showed you over here, the downtrend line, and broke out of it and continued to the upside. So we were, the trend line, it broke out of this trend line and continued to the upside. So those are 3 ways you guys can trade these. I like to look for what I call the confluence of all those factors: the trend line, sloping support, the horizontal support that we have, and candles that have long wicks on them, indicating strong price rejection or strong price being supported. So to recap, and after I finish this, I'm going to go to the current BTC Bitcoin chart. First thing you got to do is choose your time frame that you're going to be on. If you're going to be a short-term trader, trade on the 5-minute, then you're going to draw your trend lines there, and you're not going to worry about the overall big trend. If it's an overall on the daily a downtrend, but your 5-minute chart is showing an uptrend, it isn't going to matter that it's in a downtrend on the larger time frame, because you're going to be in and out of so many trades. You're going to be in and out of the trade before the larger trend takes hold. So choose your time frame. You're going to zoom out to get a clear picture. You're looking for 2 major swings. You need 2 swings before it's even a trend. And then you're going to adjust them for the most touches, and you're going to copy and paste them to create areas of value, areas of interest, zones. Trading trend lines, there's 2 different ways. You can trade the trend line break, which is breaking out of that trend line, even coming back down and retesting it before reversing to the opposite direction. You can trade it with the trend line bounce and the confluence of all 3 of those signals: support, resistance, trend line, and those candle structures. So let's go over to the Bitcoin chart now, and I'm going to show you current analysis of Bitcoin. So I have nothing on this chart right now. I'm going to reset it. I'm going to go to the 4 hour, and I'm going to show you what I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to draw this trend line here, and I'm going to try to make sense of what I'm posting in the VIP chat. So we have this trend line going up here. I'm going to draw a horizontal line. Where are we at? 6,800 is important. So if you remember in that second video, guys, we talked about these ascending triangles. So you can see how we are making a low, a higher low, a higher low. But when the sellers come in to drive price down, they drive it down to here, they drive it down to here, they drove it down to here, and now they're starting to try to drive it down now. So you can see how we're being squeezed into this area. And these patterns, these ascending triangles, are a sign of strength. I really expect for price to break out, and it did break out earlier. It broke out to over $7,200. And then look at the wick on that candle. Strong rejection to the downside, back under our resistance line again. So we could draw a couple more here. Could draw one there and one there. So you can see we were rejected there, we were rejected there. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for price to break above here, flip this into support now, as opposed to it being resistance like it is now, flip it into support, and then move up from there. I would like to see a 4-hour candle close above it. The best thing, though, is to see the daily candle close above it. I don't think it's going to happen because we have 15 minutes before the day ends. The other thing is, and I'm going to teach this more in later videos, but some of you who are a little bit more familiar with trading, is Fibonacci. So from this swing high to this swing low, you can see we made a 61% retrace from that high to low. This is a common retrace zone. Anything between 38 to 61, 38, 50%, 61% is a common retrace zone. So we're right at the area where price could even potentially reverse and go back to the downside. So that's why I'm being cautious here. I want to wait to see if we clearly get above this resistance, maybe even back test it before I'm going to start placing bigger trades. But right now I'm waiting to see what happens as we get squeezed in there. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you learned some stuff in this video, and believe me, as I go through all this training and I keep adding all the videos, I know a lot of you have questions, but this training series is going to answer like 90% of your questions, believe me. So I'm going to keep putting out these videos, and in the hopes of that what me and Drew post in the VIP channel, because the VIP channel is where we're going to post analysis. We're not going to post it in the free one. We're going to post it in the VIP one. And this training, the goal of this is to help you understand what we're posting in the VIP channel. So I've posted pretty much this picture in the VIP. Well, here's me explaining why I see this, what's going on here. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.